Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. From NFL News Now. When the 2024 regular season came to a close, the Indianapolis Colts didn't waste any time shaking things up. The team decided to part ways with veteran defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, a move that initially surprised fans but made sense in retrospect. Bradley had given the Colts stability, but what head coach Shane Steichen and general manager Chris Ballard wanted was evolution, a defense that could keep up with their dynamic, young offense led by Anthony Richardson. So, the search began for a new defensive mind, someone who could inject fresh energy into the system. And within just a couple of weeks, Indianapolis landed their man, Lou Anarumo, the former defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals, a guy who had already built a reputation as one of the league's most cunning defensive architects. Anarumo, affectionately called the Mad Scientist, didn't take long to make his presence felt. Known for his ability to dissect opposing offenses and adapt on the fly, he completely reimagined the Colts' defense from day one. His fingerprints were all over the team's transformation. The secondary, once a glaring weakness, became a symbol of his vision in under a year. Anarumo helped the Colts bring in a revamped lineup that now boasts names like Ken Bingham, Charvarius Ward, Mekhi Blackman, and the superstar acquisition that shocked the football world, Sauce Gardner. That's right, in less than 12 months. The Colts' defensive backfield went from a patchwork group of young hopefuls to one of the most intimidating units in the NFL. You can call that luck, or you can call it what it really is, a direct reflection of Anarumo's influence. And just like that, in 10 short months, Lou Anarumo is back in the spotlight once again. His name is being whispered, no, shouted, round league circles as a hot candidate for a head coaching position. According to NFL insider Ian Rappaport, Anarumo has emerged as a legitimate candidate for the vacant New York Giants head coaching gig. The Giants, coming off another disappointing start to their 2025 campaign, finally decided to move on from Brian Daboll after a 0-8 spiral that left fans restless and the locker room divided. Daboll's firing wasn't a shock, but it sent waves through the league, immediately sparking speculation about who might take over one of the NFL's most storied franchises, and Rappaport didn't hesitate to mention Lou's name alongside a few others. Among the names I would keep an eye on, as the Giants potentially look to regain some of the greatness of the Tom Coughlin era, Rappaport said on NFL Network, I would say Steve Spagnuolo and Antonio Pierce are to head coach candidates. Both are guys they will look at. Lou Anarumo also has ties to the Giants organization. That last part, the Giants connection, is important. Before his rise to fame in Cincinnati and his current run in Indianapolis, Anarumo actually spent time with the Giants back in 2018 as their defensive backs coach. It was a brief stint, but one that left a mark. He learned the organizational culture, met key figures in the front office, and earned respect from players and staff alike. So when you combine his New York roots, his proven success as a defensive mind, and his knack for turning average defenses into elite units, it's no wonder the Giants are reportedly intrigued. But here's where the story gets really interesting. This isn't the first time Anarumo has been in this position. After the Bengals' magical Super Bowl run in 2021, Anarumo's name popped up on just about every short list for head coaching vacancies across the league. He was considered for multiple jobs but never quite got the nod. Some teams wanted younger, offensive-minded coaches. Others were simply unsure about giving a defensive coordinator that much control. Fast forward a few years, though, and things look very different. The league has watched as Anarumo's defensive philosophy has aged like fine wine, a mix of aggression, discipline, and unpredictability that consistently produces results. Let's look at the numbers, because they tell the story just as much as the tape does. Through 10 games with the Colts this season, Anarumo's defense ranks 9th in points allowed per game at 26 and sits 17th in total yards allowed per game with 327.6. On paper, that might not scream dominance. But here's the kicker. The Colts have held 3 different opponents under 15 points, and they're the only team in the entire league that has forced at least one turnover in every single game this season. Every single game. That's consistency. That's pressure. That's what Anarumo brings to the table. A defense that bends just enough to bait opponents, but snaps back hard enough to make them pay. When you watch the Colts play under Anarumo, you notice how fearless the scheme is. He's not afraid to blitz from unexpected angles or to disguise coverage looks so effectively that even veteran quarterbacks get trapped. Sure, the aggressive style occasionally gives up big plays, the chunk plays, as analysts like to say, but the trade-off is worth it. Indy ranks 5th in the league with 29 total sacks this season and has only had one game where they failed to bring down the opposing quarterback, and that was way back in Week 2 against the Denver Broncos. In today's NFL, where the passing game reigns supreme, that kind of consistent pass rush is gold. Now, if the Giants are serious about recapturing the spark of their past, those gritty, defense-driven days under Tom Coughlin, then Lou Anarumo fits that mold perfectly. He's not flashy. He's not a soundbite machine, but he's a leader who commands respect and brings out the best in his players. The Giants' defense has been a shadow of its former self, struggling with identity and confidence, and they desperately need someone who can rebuild it from the inside out. Anarumo has already proven he can do that. Just look at what he did in Cincinnati, where he transformed an average defense into one of the most feared playoff units in the league. Of course, Anarumo won't be without competition. Rappaport mentioned Steve Spagnuolo, who is practically a Giants legend after coordinating the defense that took down the 18-0 Patriots in Super Bowl 42. Spags even came back for a stint in 2015. So his connection to the franchise runs deep. And then there's Antonio Pierce, the fiery interim head coach of the Raiders, who has quickly become a player's favorite and is rumored to be on several teams' radar as well. If the Giants want experience and a proven record of playoff success, Spagnuolo is the safe pick. If they want charisma and culture, Pierce fits the bill. But if they want someone who blends strategy, adaptability, and toughness, someone who can make the Giants' defense feared again, Lou Anarumo might just be their guy. Meanwhile, the Colts find themselves in a bit of a precarious position. They've finally found a coordinator who seems to have unlocked the full potential of their defensive roster. And now there's a real possibility they could lose him after just one season. It's a situation that's all too familiar in the NFL. When a coach succeeds, other teams come calling. If Anarumo does end up leaving, Indianapolis will have to embark on yet another search for a defensive leader, but this time, they'd be starting from a much stronger foundation, thanks to Anarumo's influence. The Colts' defense is talented, disciplined, and loaded with emerging stars. Whoever steps in next would be inheriting a well-built unit, one that's already learned how to play with intensity and purpose. What's truly fascinating about Lou Anarumo's journey is how it mirrors the evolution of the modern NFL coach. He's not the stereotypical rah-rah motivator, and he's not an analytics-obsessed play caller detached from his players. He's a hybrid. Old school in his toughness, but modern in his approach. He studies tendencies like a scientist, experiments with coverage combinations, and isn't afraid to adjust his entire game plan midstream. Players buy into his system because it works, and more importantly, because he trusts them to execute it. When you talk to defensive players who've worked under him, a common theme emerges. They feel empowered. They feel like they're part of something that matters. That's leadership. And that's exactly what a franchise like the Giants needs right now. If Anarumo does land in New York, it would be a full-circle moment. From coaching the Giants' defensive backs in 2018 to potentially leading the entire team less than a decade later, that's the kind of storyline that makes the NFL so compelling. But even if he doesn't get the job this time, one thing's for sure, Lou Anarumo's rise isn't slowing down, whether in Indianapolis, New York, or somewhere else entirely. His reputation as one of the league's sharpest defensive minds is now undeniable, and if the Colts keep playing the way they've been playing, he might just force the league to recognize that the mad scientist deserves more than just a nickname. He deserves a team of his own. At the end of the day, the NFL is about impact, and few coordinators have made a bigger one this season than Lou Anarumo. The Giants' job may just be the next step in his coaching evolution, a chance to prove that his defensive genius can translate into full-scale leadership. But until then, every Sunday, fans in Indianapolis and across the league get to witness the chess game he plays on the field. One blitz, one disguise, one perfectly timed turnover at a time, and whether he ends up staying or going, one thing is certain, Lou Anarumo's name isn't going away anytime soon. It's only getting louder. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. Today in Indianapolis, the air is thick with tension, whispers, and disbelief. A storm seems to have blown through Lucas Oil Stadium, and it's one of those days that fans, analysts, and insiders will talk about for weeks, maybe months. The rumor mill has been relentless, but now it's hard to ignore. Daniel Jones is reportedly on his way out of the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, you heard that right. The quarterback who has been a subject of much debate since his draft days, who has had flashes of brilliance interspersed with moments that left fans biting their nails, might be donning a completely different uniform in the not-so-distant future. The corridors of Colts headquarters are said to be buzzing. Agents are allegedly in heated discussions, and the atmosphere is reportedly electric with uncertainty. Sources close to the team hint at a decision that could reshape the entire franchise, leaving fans wondering whether the Colts are ready to make a bold, even shocking, move. For weeks, whispers have been circulating about the organization's dissatisfaction with the quarterback situation. Daniel Jones, despite showing promise and flashes of the kind of leadership that can rally a team in the fourth quarter, has apparently faced scrutiny over consistency and performance in high-pressure situations. There's talk among insiders that the coaching staff has been weighing options, considering trades, and even having late-night strategy sessions with the front office to explore alternatives. The name Daniel Jones keeps coming up in these discussions, not as a guaranteed departure, but as the centerpiece of what could be a seismic shift for the Colts offense. You can almost picture the tension in meetings, coaches with their pens scribbling notes, executives staring at projections, agents pacing back and forth, all while the fans remain blissfully unaware, or at least outwardly calm, of the potential upheaval about to hit their team. The timing of this rumor is particularly intriguing. Indianapolis has been through its fair share of quarterback controversies, but Daniel Jones' reported departure would mark one of the most talked about scenarios in recent memory. It's not just about replacing a player, it's about the identity of the team itself. The Colts have historically prided themselves on building around strong leadership under center. And now, with the specter of Jones leaving, questions loom large. Who steps in? Do they pursue a veteran presence to stabilize the locker room? Or is this the moment they roll the dice on a younger, untested talent? Every insider you speak to seems to have a slightly different take, but all of them agree on one point. This is going to shake the foundation of the Colts organization. The ripple effects, they say, could be felt across the entire AFC South and possibly beyond. Fans, naturally, are in a frenzy. Social media is awash with speculation, some rational, some downright wild. The theories range from trade packages involving draft picks to blockbuster deals with other franchises desperate for a quarterback. You can almost sense the pulse of the city through the screen. Every mention of Daniel Jones sparks debates in sports bars, online forums, and group chats. Some are clinging to hope, suggesting that this is merely posturing by the front office to leverage Jones' market value, while others are bracing for the inevitable, already imagining life without him leading the offense. The atmosphere is reminiscent of a hurricane before landfall, tense, unpredictable, and impossible to ignore. There's also chatter about what this could mean for the Colts' strategy moving forward. Sources hint that the team is eyeing multiple scenarios, from a clean break to a more complex, multi-layered trade, potentially involving multiple teams and draft capital. The idea is to maximize value while still ensuring that whoever steps in under center is capable of keeping the team competitive. There's talk of scouting missions, phone calls running late into the night, and front office meetings that stretch into early morning hours. Every move seems calculated, every leak intentional, as if the organization is carefully orchestrating a narrative, even as the players themselves are caught in the whirlwind of uncertainty. And amid all this, Daniel Jones reportedly remains professional, showing up to practice, leading drills, and maintaining his poise. But there's no denying the undercurrent of tension that follows him wherever he goes. Interestingly, analysts and former players have jumped on the rumor train, offering their insights and predictions, often contradicting each other in the most entertaining ways. Some suggest that the Colts may be signaling a rebuild, using Jones as the centerpiece of a trade that brings in youth, draft picks, and cap space. Others argue that a veteran quarterback could already be lined up, ready to step in if and when Jones departs. And then there's the perspective that perhaps this is simply a negotiation tactic, a way for the front office to send a message to Jones' camp or to other potential trade partners that the team is serious about making moves. The truth, probably somewhere in between. But that's part of the drama that keeps the rumor swirling and the fans on edge. Meanwhile, insiders hint that locker room dynamics may also be influencing the situation. Daniel Jones is reportedly well-liked among teammates, respected for his work ethic, and capable of rallying the squad. Yet professional sports are rarely purely about personal relationships. Performance metrics, contract considerations, and long-term planning all weigh heavily. Some unnamed sources suggest that this decision isn't just about Jones' play on the field, but about the vision for the franchise over the next 5 years. There's talk of balancing immediate competitiveness with sustainable growth, of finding a quarterback who can handle the pressure and expectations of Indianapolis, while fitting into a larger puzzle that includes the draft, free agency, and the salary cap. As the day unfolds, the rumor is intensifying, media outlets are scrambling, insiders are leaking snippets, and fans are clinging to every tidbit. Social media amplifies every hint, turning speculation into a digital wildfire that refuses to die down. There's even word that certain team executives are being careful with public statements, trying to temper expectations, while leaving room for maneuvering behind the scenes. The situation is delicate. The stakes are high, and the narrative is evolving by the hour. Daniel Jones' potential exit from the Colts is more than a roster move, it's a storyline that could dominate headlines, influence team strategies, and dominate conversations among football fans across the country. What happens next is anyone's guess. Will Daniel Jones be traded in a blockbuster deal? Will he remain with the Colts for one last hurrah before an inevitable departure? Or is this just the beginning of a long, drawn-out negotiation that keeps everyone guessing? All signs point to continued uncertainty, high drama, and plenty of fan speculation. What's clear, however, is that today marks a turning point today in Indianapolis that will be remembered for the tension, the rumors, and the very real possibility that the Colts quarterback situation is on the verge of a dramatic transformation. The city, the fans, and even casual observers are holding their breath, waiting for confirmation, and watching as the story unfolds like a thriller written in real time, with Daniel Jones at the center of a storm that seems far from over. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.